Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Frank here. Continuing work on the Cub Cadet garden tractor forklift conversion. If you're new to the channel and just tuning in, we're building a forklift out of a 50-year-old Cub Cadet garden tractor. We've stretched the frame a little over a foot, mounted a seat backwards, moved the dash to the rear, and installed the necessary controls to drive this tractor backwards. So the mast, forklift mast, will sit back here, and that's how it's going to work. So we'll get working on the mast here. I just finished making the second runner for the carriage, and of course the carriage is the part of the forklift that moves up and down, holds the load. And I have two runners, one on each side. They'll run in a larger channel. This will be the main mast channel. These runners will run up and down in the mast. And as I explained last episode, in case if you missed it, these wheels are undersized compared to the channel width, so they can only touch one side, so you don't have to worry about them scraping or not rolling properly. The weight of the carriage will cause the top of this to pivot forward and the bottom to go backwards. So this will touch the front, this will touch the back. They'll roll freely. And then there's a pair of conveyor balls to space it off the track so it doesn't scrape. And this will of course be stabilized when we fasten two of them together to build the carriage and install them between a pair of the larger channels, which will be the main mast. So we'll get started on that stuff. I just measured for the panel to cover this opening. Now it'll only come up to this point down. From this point up will be another panel which will support the hydraulic valves. So I'm getting ready to cut them out on the plasma table. Alright, so I cut this panel with slots in it along the bend line, and I left just a couple little 1/4 inch tabs. Not sure how it's going to work, but we'll give it a try. We'll go over to the press brake and see if we can bend this. It worked pretty well. Try this other side. right 90 there. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. That worked pretty well. I think it fits fine. I've got a nut here I need to remove to make room for that. But so that's my first attempt at using the brake, and I had, this is 1/8 inch, 11 gauge, 1/8 inch, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4 little 1/4 inch tabs. Figured the brake is only rated for 22 gauge. I guess that's for the full length. And we'll come back and work on this some more later. There's one other issue I need to take care of before I get much further along. As you saw me in a previous episode, I put the foot pedal in there, which is the neutral return, and I need to modify it a little bit. So I pulled it out, and the length of this shaft just fits in the frame, and basically this is flush against the frame right here. And I'm going to add a plate to the outside of this frame about 3/8 of an inch thick, and that'll be reinforcement for the frame, and it will support the mast. So I need to space the pedal out, and I can't just pull it out. I need to actually extend the shaft. The shaft has holes drilled in it at specific intervals to perform, you know, functions within the frame. One is for spring return, and the other is for the neutral return. So I actually need to lengthen the shaft and space this out 1/2 inch. And there's a couple of ways to do it. I can't, you know, it would be easier just to lengthen this end of the shaft or replace the shaft completely, maybe. I think what I'm going to do, and I don't know whether this is spun welded on here or how it's fashioned, but my plan is just to go ahead and cut it off, build up 1/2 inch of weld on this end, and then I'll put it in the lathe, and we'll turn it down and face it off, and then I'll re-weld it to the shaft. So that's the plan. I don't see any evidence of any kind of mechanical fastener, like a screw that was through here or plug weld or anything. It looks like it was just spun welded. All right, let me face this off and get Let me face this off and get it ready to weld up. Oh, I got a couple buddies here. Come in from outside. Being good puppies. Yeah. Yeah, my good boys. My good boys. Alright, this is cooled off. Let's go ahead and take it. I think I added about a ½ an inch to it. Take it over to the lathe and turn it down. There's a few voids here. I'll go back and fill these in. Just an update, since nobody could tell me where my ball peen hammer went. I picked up another one at the estate sale that I got the TIG welder and press brake and stuff from, so I got a hammer back. All right, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. All right, so you'll notice I also shortened the pedal so it'll clear the fender, and hopefully I got it back on the right orientation. I marked it, so it should be. Alright, and that gives me the space I need for the reinforcement plate. Alright, we probably won't revisit this for a couple episodes when we get to the building the plate, which is going to go, the plate's going to go along this outside of the frame all the way back. It'll have a piece come up to support the tilt cylinder, and it will go out and support the bottom of the mast. There's a couple of criteria I set for determining the height of the mast components, the two outer rails of the mast. One is I wanted 4 inches of ground clearance between the bottom of the mast and the ground. Using 4 inches clearance with a 16-inch carriage and the forks 8 inches below the carriage top, so that the total length of the carriage from the top of the carriage runners to the bottom of the forks would be 24 inches. With those dimensions, that keeps the carriage inside the rails. The rails are 4 inches off the ground. The carriage will be 8 inches off the ground, the bottom of the carriage rails, runners. And at the top of the travel, if I size the mast to fit through the 7-foot doors in my other garage, I will only get 5 feet of lift. So I've decided to not try to do that. I'm going to size them so that I can get them in through these doors. Now, if I need to get the tractor in that building, I think I'm going to fabricate it so that I can take the mast off. Quick disconnects on the hydraulics and drop a couple pins, and the whole mast should come off the tractor. At least that's my plan. So I can take it off the tractor, get it in, put it back on if I have to or decide to, or even perhaps arrange a way to tilt it, undo the bottom of the mast, tilt it backwards, drive it in, repin the bottom of the mast. So that would allow me to tilt it over far enough to get it through the doorway in the other garage. I don't know that I'm ever going to need to do that. I was thinking I would store it out there, but I might just keep it in here. So if I ever decide I need to keep it in that building and I need to get it in there, I can always cut the mast off. It's just a couple of 4-inch C channels, and it's not expensive stuff. So I mean, I could even fabricate, you know, another pair. So I don't expect to do that, but possibility. So with that, all that said, the length of the 2 outer rails for the mast should be 88 inches. That'll give me 92 inches of total height from the ground to the top of the mast, and these doors are 96 inches. So I can get, that gives me 4 inches of clearance to allow for any tilt in the apron or any variance in the tire pressure, that sort of thing. So I'm going to cut these 2 rails to 88 inches. Where are my boys? There's one of them. What you doing, huh? Where's Butchie? There's Butchie. There's Butchie. You guys just chilling outside today, huh? Anybody want a treat? You want a treat? Who wants a treat? Let me get some boys to sit. Sit. Okay. Good boys. Let's see where they're going. It's a nice day today. All right. Back to work. I've got the 2 outside rails cut and on the sawhorses here. The space I have here is 13 inches between the fenders. I could cut them back a little bit more and get about 14 inches. So I might do that just to get another 1/2 inch on each side. It would be helpful to have, you know, as wide a spacing as possible. So I'm just looking at them here. I've got the 2 runners. And so I think the 2 runners are going to work okay. A little bit far apart here. That's closer. That's about 12 inches. We'll continue to work on that. I'm going to wrap the video up at this point. I think I've got line of sight to fabricating the carriage and mounting the rails. I'm still thinking about the hydraulic lift and how all that's going to be set up. Hydraulic cylinder about 3 feet of travel, so it'll be about well, 3 feet of travel will give me 6 feet of lift, because the chain, if I use a chain or a cable over the top of the cylinder, end of the cylinder, then for every inch the cylinder goes up, the carriage goes up 2 inches. So with a travel of 36 inches, I can get 6 feet of lift, which is the plan. And I'll have to look and see what cylinder length that would be to get 3 feet of travel. Probably 4 feet. Probably a 4-foot long cylinder. Something like 2.5 inches in diameter, maybe. Maybe you don't need a big one. I'm not lifting 5,000 pounds. I'm only lifting, it's going to be limited to 1,000 pounds. I mean, it's possible with enough counterweight, it could pick up 1,500 pounds, but kind of my design objective is 1,000. Maybe with a little safety factor of 50%, something like that. So, if I buy a cable, it'll have to have a braking strength or a working load of, like 2,000 pounds. So, all right, we'll come back next week, working on the carriage, starting to put fasten the runners together, and work on the rest of the carriage, which will eventually support the forks, and decide on the actual track width. I do need to make a decision on that. I'm thinking, the wider the better, and so I might want to go, as wide as I can, or at least make as much room. And it's really not that much difference. It's 12 inches or 13 inches. I can't go beyond 13. So whether it's 12 or 13, I'm not sure that makes a whole lot of difference, but well, 13 would be what, 8% more. So, all right, we'll come back next week, keep working on this. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the bell, thumbs up, share with your friends, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.